us this morning. And for the benefit of our guests, especially our great guests, the students, this is because you are here. And just to make you familiar with our club and our routine is that this is the way, if you look at the program that is in front of you, you see how we start our meeting and how we run our meetings. Every Wednesday morning we get here together and go through this routine. But the good part of it is not routine, but it's just a pleasure. And every time it's new for us. And part of that is our Pledge of Allegiance. For me, every week, it's a renovation for my respect for this flag and remembering my freedom. So, for honoring our flag, we have one of your classmates, A.J. Jackson, to lead us in Pledge of Allegiance. A.J. is the Rotary District Manager for the Interact Club. That district covers from Long Beach, Los Alamitos, all of Orange County, and as south as San Clemente. Here is A.J. Jackson.
Good morning. Please rise and join me in saluting our flag. Place your right hand over your heart and begin. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And you know that every week we have an invocation, and but before we get to the invocation, I would like to bring your attention to the top of your program and also on here at the flag that is hanging on the podium. On top of this flag, you see an emblem, which is a representation of the theme of Rotary this year. That theme is helping people. It says, rich within and embrace humanity. The logo or the emblem is a representative of a circle on top, which is the eye of the children of the world, eye of the youth. That's your eye, looking at Rotary. And those wings around it is a representation of a heart, Rotarian hearts, that has opened up to embrace humanity. We are opening up our doors, we are opening up our businesses, places of work, and we are embracing you. Come on in and learn. Ask questions, be ready, and also teach. Because I have done this for about 15 years now. I've taken students to my office, and I have learned from you. So you are here to teach us as well as you are here to learn. So we are going together to a great journey, and that eye is also a representation of the light in the world, eye in the world. You are the generation who are going to bring peace, prosperity, and friendship to the world. Just remember that. Now, for our invocation today, I would like to ask Patty Wilgan. She's my coach. I have two coaches here today, Patty Wilgan and our district governor here. So Patty, where are you, my dear?
I was just about to do that, James. Sometimes life gets a little crooked, doesn't it? Today our invocation is how to live a life full of possibility. Sacred and scared are spelled with the same letters. Awful proceeds from the same root word as awesome, terrified, and terrific. Every negative experience holds the seed of transformation. To live a life full of possibility, one must start with an attitude of gratitude. When negative experience comes your way, be grateful. Look for the possibility to water the seed of transformation. For you have the power to change the negative to positive through possibility thinking.
Thank you, Patty. You know, all I see here is positiveness and energy, okay? And I try not to be scared. I'm ready to experience. And with that said, I would like to make a couple of announcements. One of the things that we do here is that we make announcements. At our Rotary meetings, we get together every Wednesday morning here in this beautiful place. We shake hands, we greet one another, and we kiss one another, and we share friendship. But in the meantime, we plan for future. We plan for our fundraisers, we raise money, and we plan to serve humanity. We have different avenues of service, and we make announcements about it. I want to make an announcement for our Rotarians that this Saturday, the 19th, we are feeding the seniors at the senior center. So the cooks, please get there at 7 o'clock. And anybody who has signed up to bring turkey, so just bring your turkey in, and then at about, I guess, 11 or 11:30, we're going to be serving about 120 seniors in the senior center. That's number one. Number two is that Turkey Trot is a run in Dana Point, and it is on Russell Kerr. Help me, what day is that on?
Thanksgiving.
Thanksgiving Day. Okay, so great. We're going to be running, so just remember that. And it starts from the morning and it goes almost all day. So that's that. And with those said, I don't have any other announcement. At this time, I would like to ask Mitch Jackson to come over. Mitch is a member of our Rotary Club, and he happens to be AJ's father. So, let's get it from Mitch Jackson. We're going to introduce our guests and visiting Rotarians. Mitch, thank you, Al.
Thank you, President Al. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Rotary. I've been asked to introduce our special guest this morning. If I miss anybody, please don't hold it against me. AJ will tell you I'm really good at this and stuff. So I'm going to do my best. When I call your name out, please stand, and then you can sit back down. I'd like everybody to know who our special guests are. And at the end, if we could save our applause to the end, that will help us move along and catch up a little bit. I'd like to start off this morning by welcoming from our Toronto Unified School District, Superintendent Dr. Joseph Farley, and also Chief Communications Officer, Mr. Marcus Walton. Good morning. From Aliso Viejo High School, we have Principal Chris Carter, and from Dana Hills High School, brand new Principal, Dr. Jason Allman. Our ROP guests include Mr. Dave Giertech, Director of Instructional Services. Good morning, Dave. And we also have, on behalf of our job shadow coordinators, Mrs. Susie Spears, who's a career guidance specialist from Dana Hills, and we have Ms. June Anthony, career guidance specialist from Aliso Viejo High School. Additional chaperones include Mrs. Julie Marquez, ROP career guidance specialist at Sorrel High School, and Mrs. Vicki Height, head academic advisor from Aliso Viejo High School. Now, from our Rotary District, we have some very special guests this morning. We have one of my favorite district governors of all time, District Governor Greg Owen and his lovely wife, Valerie. Good morning, Greg. Greg's just done so much for our club and our district and for our daughter, AJ, this year. We have District Governor-elect Jim Lorman and Cruz. Is Jim here this morning? There, good morning. We have District Governor-elect Ray Shire. I didn't see Ray this morning, but she may be here. We have District Governor ND Jim Paddock. We have past District Governor Mike Darnold. I didn't see Mike this morning. Is he here? All right. We have Price Shapiro's here, past District Governor Price Shapiro. We have past District Governor Brett Gerdes. Is Brett here this morning? There he is. Brett. And Assistant Governor Dan Graham, District Youth Generation Chair Brian Russell. I saw Brian this morning. Morning, Brian. And last but not least, we have District TRF Committee Pete and Helen Maxwell. We have past District Governor Rod Idy, who's also a past president of our club. Rod, you weren't on the list this morning, bud. And I may have missed some people. These are the pardon?
District Governor, past District Governor Bryce Shapiro.
Bryce Shapiro. Yeah, I got him, didn't I? Gary. And I'd also like to thank Swank Audiovisuals. Swank Audiovisuals, it's normally, they're in 300 of the largest hotels across the country. They were kind enough to help us out this morning with the audiovisual setup, and I'd like to give a special shout out to Swank. Thank you very much. All right, Al, back to you.
Thank you. One of our newer members is Gary Maxwell. Gary Maxwell joined us less than a year ago from Oregon. And as soon as he showed up, he was willing and open to take leadership and rolled up his sleeves. And when this position for vocational arrangement in our organization became available, Gary accepted it, and he did work very, very hard to arrange this. So I would like to thank Gary and ask Gary to come up here and continue our program. Gary Maxwell.
Thank you, Al. I'd like to start off by drawing your attention to and reading the quote on the inside of your program by Steve Jobs. Your time is limited, so don't waste it living someone else's life. Don't be trapped by dogma, which is living with the results of other people's thinking. Don't let the noise of other people's opinions drown out your own inner voice. And most important, have the courage to follow your heart and intuition. They somehow already know what you truly want to become. Everything else is secondary. I feel this quote really captures the essence of today and our next speaker, or our next guest. Taylor Carroll has been changing the world by following his dreams. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like you to give a warm welcome to Taylor Carroll, who's going to Taylor.
Morning, everybody. Well, I'm Taylor Carroll. I'm a junior at Dana Hills High School, Dolphins. And first of all, thank you for just letting me be a part of today. So about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed terminal with a rare form of leukemia called Philadelphia chromosome. And during that time, I really got to see how short life can be. After I beat my illness, I dedicated myself to following my dreams. My passions in life are music and fundraising. Since beating my illness, I've been able to help raise over $6 million for pediatric oncology, and I'm currently traveling across the country as a soloist. I think the biggest thing that life's taught me is you really have to follow your dreams no matter what. I wanted to share with you all a song that I really thought embodied that message. You have to forgive me, it's not a style that I usually do, but I thought it matched today pretty well. It's called The Impossible Dream from Man of La Mancha. I hope you like it. To dream the impossible dream, to find the unbeatable fall, to bear with unbearable sorrow, to run where the brave dare
Wow, that was amazing, Taylor. What an inspiration to all of us. Somebody who's taking and following their dreams in their heart. Something that we all try to do in our lives, and sometimes we get trapped and aren't able to do so. But Taylor, thank you for being such an awesome inspiration to all of us. Thank you. Rotarian John F. Kennedy once said, "Children are the world's most valuable resource, and its best hope for the future." Ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you for being here today and helping shape our future. This program wouldn't be possible without all of your generous support. Today, we're helping these young people find their paths in life. Figuring out one of the difficult times of life, the most difficult time is when you have to figure out that transition from life with your parents, going to high school, where all your decisions are made for you, to life on your own, where you have to make all of your own decisions. Choosing a career is probably one of the biggest decisions that we make in our lives. And today we're helping these young people figure that out. We're going to give them a chance to see if the vocation that they've thought and or dreamed about is truly what they want to do for the rest of their lives. So I say to all of you young men and women, use this day to look into the future and make the most of it. Now it's my pleasure to introduce a man who's had his life changed and shaped by Rotary. Our district governor, Greg Owen.
Thank you, Gary, and I want to thank the Monarch Beach Sunrise Rotary Club for this opportunity to present before you today. This is a great experience for me. This is a wonderful career day. I brag about to every club in this district about what a great event this is and how successful it is and how important it is and how shaping it is. I was about the age of most of you in the room, 1963-64. I was a junior in high school when a past president of the Rotary Club of Bellflower took a liking to me and really started telling me about Rotary, telling me how Rotary was changing the world and changing the communities and how involved it was. And he told me so much that I realized right then and there that if ever given the opportunity to be a Rotarian, I would take and jump at that opportunity. Also, that I didn't want any other service club but Rotary. And I hope that some of the comments that I make today in front of you, that someday you will find your way to Rotary. And because what we're the good that we're doing in the local communities and the international communities around the world, the changes that we're making. Gary, thank you for this opportunity too. I appreciate that very much. I started out as a very, very fortunate guy. I was a broken down athlete, half blind, literally, bad knees, bad back, and didn't realize it until I was in college. So I was a wreck, and obviously it didn't take me too long to figure out that I wasn't going to make it as an athlete. But I also had mentoring and people that were life changing. They were coaches, and coaches said, there's an opportunity for you, and they led me into coaching, and I fell in love with it. So much so that I was called back by my dad to to help out in the trucking business. I was born and raised in the trucking business, and it's a very important part of my life, and it's really shaped my life. And I'm a coach, and I'm a coach in trucking, believe it or not. And we've put together a team, and that's what you're going to see is as you go into these professions and these different businesses that you're going to see. You don't look at one individual because it's a lot of individuals. It's a team that makes a difference in the success of any business, in any career, in any profession. So, and I've had some people that have shaped my life, and one of those was Norm Zink, who was a past president of our the Long Beach Rotary Club, and he gave me the ask to be a Rotarian, and I jumped at it. And he mentored me, and he taught me, about community and a sense of community and bringing, service into your life, into your family, into your business. And he took that time, and this is a great opportunity for you. And as a coach, I look out over the youth. This is a great opportunity. You're the future of our communities. You're the future of our world, and hopefully that Rotary will make a difference in your life too. At the lowest part of my life, and I have been extremely fortunate, believe me. I married the right gal, have 2 wonderful kids, great grandkids and everything else. But at one part of my life, it was the lowest part of my life when nothing mattered, and I really didn't care much about going on. And a Rotarian took the time to realize that something was wrong. And as I walked out of the meeting, he grabbed me by the shoulders and shook me, and he says, "What's wrong?" And I said, "Richard, you don't have enough time." He said, "I got all the time in the world. Tell me what's wrong." So I started describing this horrible part of my life that was, I really, when I walked in there, I didn't really care if life went on. That's how low I was. And so I started describing this horror story that had lasted 5.5 years. And he says, "I'm going to ask you a question, Greg. If you could do it over again, how would you do it? Have you ever thought about that?" I said, "Richard, every night of my life." He says, "Well," "what would you do?" And I described this vision that I had for a business. I says, "I have a great team that I've put together that's being put out of business. I could have the name of the company tonight. I could have operating authority within 5 days. I could have an ICC, Interstate Authority, within 30 days. And I created this picture for him, and this guy says, "Let's do it. Let's do it." "Somebody help me, Greg. I'm going to help you." And this was a Rotarian that changed my life. And that was the day, March 2nd, 1982. If you look at it, that's a Wednesday. That's the day that Rotary Club of Long Beach meets. And within 2 hours, we had Trimodal incorporated and on the map. And that was this, that's why I'm standing before you today. But that's what Rotarians do. They help each other, and they help their communities, and they're changing the world. I'm so proud to be a Rotarian. I sincerely am. I love the vision of this organization. Looking at the 6 areas of focus, water and sanitation, education and literacy, disease prevention and control. That's what those arms stand for that are in front of you, and you see that heart in the logo that Al sorely described to you. And the eyes looking out over the Rotarians, 1.23 million Rotarians in this world that are changing the world through these wonderful visions of peace and conflict and resolution, economic and community development, education and literacy. This is what we're doing. We're changing the world. And, I would love the opportunity to recruit out of this room, because you're the future of this world, of these communities, internationally and locally. And I hope to God that each one of you find your way in the future. After you finish your education and get into your professions, I hope to God that you find your way back to Rotary. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Rotary really has a little bit to offer everyone. And one of the things that Greg was talking about is how it helps shape your life. And it really helps you focus your skills and become the best that you possibly can become. And the different positions it puts you in, you learn all these things that you might not learn otherwise that will help you excel to the top of your careers. Life changes. No matter how much you think that you know where you're going to be or what your life is going to be like, the one thing I can promise each and every one of you is that there'll be numerous curveballs that'll put you in positions that you've never imagined. About 8 years ago, my back went out. And I just moved to Oregon, away from family and friends. I had no support system, and was in an awful lot of pain, rarely left the house, had 2 collapsed discs. Had to walk with a cane frequently. And then I had my back fixed. And started to realize that I really had nothing of substance in my life. That's when I found Rotary. And I found true meaning in life. Real purpose. Found people with a common goal. And service above self. Wasn't just words, it was action. Working on things that are important to you, side by side with others, creates a special bond, unlike any other. It's beyond words. I can't describe what you feel when you're accomplishing great things with others. And this develops a social network that is stronger than any other that you have at any time in your life. It's stronger than your friends that you have now in high school and what have you. It's really incredible. What you get in return from Rotary far outweighs any of the time and effort that you put into it. Keep track of my notes here. Rotary is a group of people with a common goal of making the world a better place. By providing humanitarian service, encouraging high ethical standards in all vocations, and building goodwill and peace in the world. We are helping children, fighting hunger, providing clean water where there is none, providing medical assistance. One of the members of this club even goes down to Mexico every year to perform surgeries for children with cleft palates that have no access to any decent medical care. We provide medical assistance and disaster relief. We fight we are fighting diseases like polio and malaria. In fact, Rotary is a leading force in the fight to eradicate polio. Bill Gates believes in Rotary so much that he's donated $355 million over the last 3 years for the fight against polio. In New Orleans, at the International Convention, he talked about the incredible strength of Rotary and our ability to meet national and international goals. In his own words, every person can make a big impact, but one person does not move the agenda nearly as effectively as 1.2 million. We can accomplish anything with the mass number of Rotarians. So if you want to change the world, and if you want to change the future of the world, join Rotary and know that absolutely anything is possible. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Mitch back up to the stage to introduce our speaker.
I'm excited this morning, and I hope after you hear Judge Cormac Carney speak, you'll be excited too. This morning, I'm honored to present to you the Honorable Cormac Carney, who's a friend, and whether he knows it or not, he's also a Rotarian. And he's going to talk to you about some of the lessons that he's learned in life. But before I do that, I'd also like to introduce his beautiful wife and the brains behind Team Carney, Mary Beth. Mary Beth, would you please stand up? I'm going to keep this short and sweet. As many of you know, Cormac's a federal judge who sits at the Ronald Reagan Courthouse in Santa Ana, California. Before he was nominated to the federal bench by President Bush, Cormac was a lawyer for about 15 years, litigating and trying cases with 2 large law firms in Southern California. Before practicing law, Cormac was a football star at UCLA, and at the time he graduated, he set numerous UCLA passing records and graduated with a high GPA. After playing pro football in the United States Football League for a year or two, Cormac had a chance to play for the San Francisco 49ers. But I think he made the right move. He also had an opportunity and a desire to attend Harvard Law School, and so that's what he did. Cormac packed his bags, went to Harvard, and not only graduated with extremely good grades, but he also met Mary Beth at Harvard, who's also a lawyer. So good job, Cormac. I'm not sure if there's a bio on the table today. I didn't see one at my table, but it had all the details behind Cormac's achievements in life. And let me just say that he excelled at UCLA, he excelled as a practicing attorney, and now as a federal judge appointed for life. Cormac's made a difference in the lives of many, many people, and he's presided over some of the largest cases that we've had here in Southern California in this particular district. He makes a difference, and that's why, whether he knows it or not, he's a Rotarian. Rotarians make a difference. His old coach, Terry Donahue, shared a story about Cormac receiving an award at a sports banquet in Long Beach, California. UCLA had just played Cal State Long Beach earlier in the season, and a Long Beach player was seriously injured during the game. Cormac accepted the award on behalf of the injured player and his family. Donahue is quoted as saying, quote, "It was one of the most moving and emotional moments I've ever had in athletics. You just don't see guys do that. It made an indelible impression on me about Cormac Carney and the kind of man that he is." So rather than me stand up here and tell you more about Cormac, we have a little video I'd like to invite you to view. And if we could pull, go ahead, Alan, let's let it run.
Like Rogers,
Bringing the thunder. You will meet the former UCLA football star whose life has moved from the field to the court ahead in tonight's exclusive Prime Sports Profile. In tonight's exclusive Prime Sports Profile, Damon makes a federal case because here comes the judge.
Former Chief Justice Earl Warren once said, "I always turn to the sports pages first, which records people's accomplishments. The front page has nothing but man's failures. I think Earl Warren would have liked Cormac Carney.
My job is to try to do the right thing. Sometimes it's difficult doing the right thing. You feel bad. You can be too easy on people, too hard on people, but you try to do the right thing.
The Honorable Cormac J. Carney is a federal judge for the U.S. District Court in Santa Ana. If someone appears before you in this courtroom, they're in trouble.
Well, that's the negative view. I like to say that there's a problem that needs to be resolved in some, the system. That's why you have a trial, and that's why you have a courtroom.
Yep, the same Cormac Carney who caught touchdowns for UCLA as a two-time All-Pac-10 wide receiver in the 80s, ending his Bruin career as the school's all-time leading receiver.
Cormac Carney was a consummate competitor. Not only a great player, but a great guy. One of those guys that kind of puts his arm around everybody. Didn't matter if you were the first string or the fifth string. He was that kind of person. So I've always had a very, very warm spot in my heart for Cormac Carney.
Here come the judge. Carney was appointed to the federal bench in January 2003 by President Bush.
I'm humbled by it. It's like I said, it's a wonderful, wonderful job. And you get to see a lot of interesting stuff. You get to see the best of humanity, and sometimes you get to unfortunately see the worst of humanity.
Like running slants and hooks against Pac-10 defenders, the judge works on complex civil and criminal matters like a game depends on it, handling everything from trademarks to drug conspiracies and also civil rights arguments. Not bad for a jock, huh?
He had this innate sense of fairness. He would kind of solve problems. Nah, I don't think that's right. He was always a problem solver.
It's not easy wearing this role, but Judge Carney has done it with the grace and skill of a wide receiver. Now appropriate because he has drawn upon his days as a Bruin football player in Westwood to rule with a fair hand here in Santa Ana.
I guess the first is practice, practice, practice. John Wooden saying, failing to prepare is preparing to fail. I have a wonderful life. I have a job that I love. I have a beautiful family. But I can really trace it all the way back to UCLA and the opportunities that UCLA football gave me.
Funny, when we were putting the video together, Cormac pointed out that one of those touchdowns was scored against my Arizona Wildcats. Would you please join me in welcoming Cormac Carney?
Thank you so much, Mitch. You, Mr. Calling as a Hollywood editor and producer. I'm delighted to be here. Thank you all for coming. I want to share with you the 3 lessons that I've learned in pursuing a career. The first lesson is that anything is possible in this great country. Dream big. George Bernard Shaw once said, "Some men see things as they are and say why. I dream of things that never were and say why not." I am living proof that anything is possible in this country. When I was graduating from high school, I was a pretty pathetic soul. I was probably about a C+ student. I was disorganized, undisciplined. I had terrible English grammar and writing skills. If you looked at my SAT scores, you would think English is a second language. I was petrified of public speaking. And worse, I was egocentric and selfish. All I cared about myself and playing football. But I went on to the Air Force Academy for a year and a half. I went to UCLA and then went on to Harvard. And I was a much different person. I became organized and multitasked. I developed those fundamental skills of writing, English grammar, and syntax. I started to overcome my fear of public speaking. But most importantly, my eyes were opened to how wonderful America is and how truly amazing the people are in our armed forces and our government who serve and defend the fundamental principle for which we stand: liberty and justice for all. And so I knew after this education and experience, somehow, some way, I was going to serve my country. The only questions were how and when. And about 10 years ago, I decided the best way to serve my country was to be a judge. And as a judge, I have a duty to safeguard and protect everybody's constitutional rights. The right to petition and criticize your government, the right to practice your faith, the right to be secure in your property and privacy, and the right to be treated equally under the law, regardless of your race, religion, or gender. I do have humbling responsibilities. I handle both criminal and civil cases. Many of my decisions involve millions of dollars, sometimes billions of dollars. In criminal cases, when someone's convicted, I have to decide how much time in prison that person is going to spend. Sometimes it's several years, sometimes it's the rest of their life. And sometimes I have to even decide on the ultimate punishment of death. There are times, both in civil and criminal cases, I have to tell Congress, the Attorney General, and even the President of the United States what they can do. But what's wonderful about the job is I get to do the right thing, focus on the right thing. I might not always achieve it, but that's what I get to focus on. Like Mitch said, I have a lifetime appointment, so I can't lose my job unless I commit a crime. I don't have to worry about making money. I don't have to worry about being popular. Now, I'm not here to sell all of you on being a federal judge. But I'm here to sell you and tell you that anything is possible. Nobody, not even my own mother, would have thought me coming out of high school, I'd be a federal judge. Now, the second lesson that I've learned, and it's related to this first lesson, is you need to pursue your passion. Find out what you love, go for it. Go for it. Don't pursue a career, select a career because someone tells you to do it, it's popular, you can make money. Find what you love. Confucius once said, choose a job you love, and you will never have to work a day in your life. That's so true. I have found to be successful, you have to have a commitment to excellence. You have got to put in the time. Like John Wooden said, practice, practice, practice. You're going to have to endure downtimes, disappointments, rejections. You can only do this if you're loving what you're doing. Now, the third lesson I'd like to share with you, and it's my final lesson, but I'd like to spend a little bit more time on it, is strive to be honest in all that you do. I think it's interesting. It's one of the principles of the Rotary Club. Abraham Lincoln is one of my honesty heroes. He once told a group of young lawyers, resolve to be honest in all events. And if your own judgment you cannot be an honest lawyer, resolve to be honest without being a lawyer. Now, I know he was speaking to a bunch of lawyers, but I think his words really apply to any profession or any trade. Lincoln understood the importance of honesty and what a big mistake it is to be dishonest. First of all, most likely you're going to get caught and punished. And I have 3 high-profile examples of people being dishonest in some form. The first is Bernie Madoff. Very intelligent, very smart man. He outright lied to people. He promised to invest people's money and return gains up to 46%. But he never invested a penny of the $65 billion he took from people. He ran a 20-year Ponzi scheme that was the largest fraud in Wall Street history. And he got caught. He was currently sentenced to 150 years in prison. His son committed suicide on the 2nd anniversary of his arrest. And he leaves a legacy of shame and countless victims. Now, another form of deception that candidly we're all guilty of is using weasel words, arguing by technicality. And the best example of that is our former president, President Clinton. Clinton, under oath, said, "It depends on what the meaning of the word is. If is means is and never has been, that is not, that is one thing. If it means there is none, that was a completely true statement." I've looked at that maybe 2 dozen times. I still don't understand what he said. But I know he's lying. President Clinton is a brilliant man. But he got caught. He was impeached by the U.S. House of Representatives. The Senate, of course, acquitted him. He was cited for contempt of court because it was under oath and fined $90,000. He agreed to a 5-year suspension of his license, and he resigned from the U.S. Supreme Court. The last high-profile example, and this, I think, is the most common form of deception that I see. And again, we all do it. And that is exaggerating. And again, I have a politician, Al Gore, when he was being interviewed by Wolf Blitzer. Wolf Blitzer asked him, "Why should Democrats, looking at the Democratic nomination process, support you? What do you have to bring to this process?" Al Gore responded, "Well, I'll be offering my vision when my campaign begins, and it will be comprehensive and sweeping. During my service in the United States Congress, I took the initiative in creating the internet." Al Gore didn't create the internet. But under pressure or whatever, he said it, and he was caught. And he was ridiculed for it and made fun of. Again, I'm not trying to pick on any of these individuals. These individuals are very intelligent, smart people. Done, some of them, maybe not Bernie Madoff, but certainly President Clinton and Al Gore have done wonderful, wonderful things. But the point I'm trying to make is we need to strive to be honest in all our dealings. And if we fail, that's okay. But never stop trying to be honest. Another reason, of course, it's a mistake. It's the morally wrong thing to do. If you think about it, you're taking advantage of people for your own benefit, and you're demeaning yourself in the process. Immanuel Kant, one of my favorite philosophers, once said, "Always recognize that human individuals are ends, and do not use them as a means to your end. By a lie, a man throws away, and as if it were, annihilates his dignity as a man." And the final reason I believe dishonesty is a mistake. This is just not good for you. Living a lie is tough. You're afraid you're going to get caught. You feel guilty that you took advantage of someone. As the saying goes, the truth will set you free. I started off this lesson with one honesty hero, Abraham Lincoln. I'd like to end it with my other honesty hero, George Washington. George Washington said, "I hold the maximum no less applicable to public than to private affairs, that honesty is always the best policy." My friends, if we follow this policy, we'll stay out of trouble, we'll be better people, we'll be happier people. Again, thank you for coming, giving me this opportunity, and I wish you much, much success and happiness.
Judge Carney, we'd like to thank you for being here today. And we have a little treat that we give our special guest speakers at Monarch Beach Sunrise Rotary. And it's a special piece of dark chocolate you can take back to the courthouse with you. You may have a clerk that might enjoy this if it makes it that far. And we'd like to thank you for being here today. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
We've set aside a few minutes. If anyone has questions, if any of the students have questions they'd like to ask Judge Carney, this is the time to do it. Just feel free. Come on, don't be shy. I know we have a superstar student over here named Emma Plotnick. I know her mom and dad. She's from Elisa Miguel High School. Emma, do you have a question you could ask Judge Carney? You've been in the court system. You've seen how trials work, correct? Correct. Do you have any questions you'd like to ask the judge?
You're on the spot now.
I was trying to think of a few and now I lost the look that were coming in my head at once.
Emma wants to know if she wants to be a judge someday, what would you recommend as far as her educational course of action?
Sure. To be a judge, you obviously have to have an undergraduate degree from a college. Then you have to go on to law school, 3 years of law school. And then usually you have to be practicing law for about 7 to 10 years.
Okay, thank you.
We have a question in the back of the room.
Your Honor, I wonder if you'd speak to the growth opportunities of trying and failing.
The growth opportunities of trying and failing. Well, all I can tell you is I have failed many more times than I have achieved. For example, like I said, I was a pretty pathetic soul in high school. My options were Long Beach City College or the Air Force Academy. All the other schools had dropped me and rejected me. They were not interested in me. I had a brother who graduated from the Air Force Academy, and my parents didn't give me an option. They said, you're going to go there, and if you really hate it, then you can leave. The thing that's ironic is I'm petrified of heights. And I have terrible motion sickness, as my wife will attest on the trips to Catalina. I'm bright green, so it really didn't make sense for this person to be going to the Air Force Academy, but it was one of the most powerful things in my life, and it was life altering. Then, you know what happened at UCLA, but I was playing pretty good football by the time I was leaving, and I was projected to go in the first round of the draft. But unfortunately, it was the holiday season. I put on a lot of weight, and they had an NFL combine, and it was also at the time of finals, so I wasn't prepared for that camp, and I did horribly at it. And so I ended up not getting drafted. I got a contract at the New York Giants and played a few games with there, then I got cut. So I got rejected again. Then I didn't know what I was going to do with my life right then and there, and I got a call from the USFL, and I played, and I applied to Harvard Law School, and got in to Harvard, turned down the 49ers, but someone was looking out for me because the 49ers were going to buy out my contract with the USFL, but they had, at the same time that they expressed an interest in me, they had done a multi-million-dollar contract with Ronaldo Nehemiah. I don't know for any of you old-timers, especially you Trojan fans. He was a great track star from SC. So they weren't going to cut him, and then they drafted Jerry Rice, just a mediocre receiver. So had I turned down Harvard to go to the 49ers, it's probably a 98% chance I would have gotten cut. And then where would I have been? And I can go on and on and on, but it's not about failing, it's about getting up when you fail. And one of the lessons that I tried to express to you all was pursuing your passion, because if you're doing what you love, you can fight through all of that.
I saw a hand over here, Coach Carney. Yes.
How often, stand up? How often did you doubt yourself when you were trying to be a judge, or like when you were in Harvard? Because I know that would, stunt your success.
I couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me? How often did you doubt yourself when you were in Harvard?
So the question was, how often did you doubt yourself?
While you were in Harvard, or like trying to be a judge and going through that process?
Right. Probably every day. Every day. One thing that was great about football, what I learned from football was momentum shifts and you have down times. And so when you have the down times, you just focus, what can I do to control the situation? I have a famous saying, hopefully I don't have a blackout, but dear Lord, please grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. And so when I would have those disappointments or not get a good grade or doubts about myself, I would focus on, okay, let's take this minute by minute, hour by hour, day by day, week by week, and then I'm up and running. But the quick answer is you're going to doubt yourself all the time, but you got to just keep fighting. Keep fighting.
Last question.
John, you indicated when you came out of high school you were basically a C student. But when you get into Harvard Law School, what in your life changed between the time you left high school and the time you got admitted to Harvard to advance your educational desires and motivations?
Two things that come to my mind. First, the Air Force Academy. It was a tremendous, eye-opening opportunity to see the character and the discipline that instilled. Second is playing football. I got beat up. I probably broke every finger in both my hands. I've separated my shoulder 4 or 5 times. My knees have arthritis in them, but I can still walk. And I realized, hey, I'm getting old for this thing. I got to find a new gig. So that was it. Okay. Thank you again.
You know, Gary started by quoting Steve Jobs, and I have a couple in here actually. One is from Steve Jobs and one from Bill Gates, the great donor to the Rotary. Steve Jobs says, it's rare that you see an artist in his 30s or 40s able to really contribute something amazing. So I want to ask all of you students and all of you youngsters, you have this opportunity and you have this great, great asset of youth. Use it. That's something that I've almost lost, but I haven't lost it. That was from Steve Jobs. And then, you know, I told you that I've done this for a number of years. One year, I ended up employing one of the students who shadowed me at the work. So be ready. And Bill Gates says, be nice to nerds. Chances are that you will be working for one of them.